I'm Michelle Vias. A food fight is going on here in South L.A. after Ralph's announces it's closing its second store in less than a few months. I'll tell you why and what's next for this community that's already struggling to find healthier food options.
A smuggling.
You're watching NBC4 News at 5.
Residents and community activists are protesting outside of a Ralph's supermarket in South L.A. right now. It is the second Ralph's to close down in this area in just the past few months. Residents in the area are very concerned right now. It's already difficult to find fresh food in the area. Now it will become even harder. The Ralph's is located at the corner of MLK and Western Avenue. Live at 5 right now, Michelle Vias joins us from South L.A. Michelle.
Yeah, Colleen, dozens have showed up for this food fight here. Customers and people in South L.A. are really upset, fired up, they say, about this latest store closure. They say what Ralph's did and how they did it is rotten. They even plan to throw rotten tomatoes at some point to express that. Compared to some other parts of L.A., shoppers here in South L.A. have less access to supermarkets, and now this closure has made it even tougher for working families out here. What are you going to do now?
I don't know, honey.
Mary Volmar will soon be shopping for a new grocery store. She just found out her Ralph's on MLK and Western in South L.A. is closing its doors next Friday.
And it's so nice, and they have things that I really like.
Like fresher food options, which are hard to find in South L.A. with fast food outlets outnumbering supermarkets. A spokesperson for Ralph's tells NBC4 their lease here expires in August, and the landlord is in negotiations with another retailer. They also say they're not abandoning the community, touting their $18 million renovations at a Ralph's location less than 3 miles away in Baldwin Hills.
It's very insulting. I mean, this whole thing is insulting.
South LA activists say this working class community, which has some of the highest obesity, cardiovascular, and diabetes rates, is again getting shortchanged at a quality food stores, accusing Ralph's of trying to, quote, sneak out of the neighborhood, giving the shoppers little notice of the closure and why.
Almost in the middle of the night, like a deadbeat dad. If they know that they're leaving, they know South LA is a food desert, they ought to come to the table and sit down and help the community solve it, since they've benefited from the money that people do have.
And while the protests won't stop the closure, this group says they'll still keep fighting for a better quality of life in South LA. As for Mary, who's already depended upon friends to take her shopping, she says she'll just have to deal with the inconvenience some way, somehow.
I'm just trying to make it, Lord bless me.
And for folks like Mary, Ralph says that the remodeled Baldwin Hills will offer round-trip shuttle service within a 3-mile radius, but neighborhood out here says that doesn't help. Now, the big question here, what is going to happen to this Ralph's here? Well, I can tell you it's not going to be a fresh and easy. They're on a development hold, and it also won't be food for less because Kroger also owns them like they own Ralph's. The community out here really not very hopeful because they say the last 4 Ralph's that closed down here were not replaced by a supermarket. Reporting live in South LA tonight, Michelle Vias, NBC4 News.
Now, with this closure, there will be 5 Ralph's remaining in the South LA area. Representatives for Ralph's say no jobs are being lost with this closure, and employees will be absorbed into other stores.
Their Ralph's is closing, and they're not happy about it. Dozens of residents turn out tonight for a parking lot protest. Some South LA residents are upset. Their only neighborhood grocery store is closing. The Ralph's on Martin Luther King and Western is closing next week. Protesters say it's the second Ralph's store in South LA to close in a couple of months. Tonight, dozens of angry residents took to the streets in front of the store. They claim the closure came without notice.
So if you do feel hoodwinked and bamboozled, you got to speak up.
Never go down like this in the rich parts of our city and our country, right? Is it happening right here? Is it happening right now? Is it wrong? And are we on the right side of justice?
A Ralph's spokesperson says a store on Rodeo Drive in Baldwin Hills is expanding to serve the community.